York police have issued a Canada-wide warrant for a man wanted in connection with the death of a Markham real estate agent. Anita Moy went missing under suspicious circumstances earlier this month. Her burned remains found a few days later north of Toronto. Greg Ross has more on the search for the suspect.
York Regional Police have released this image of a 47-year-old man they now believe is responsible for the death of Anita Moy.
Yesterday, York Regional Police homicide investigators issued a Canada-wide warrant for 47-year-old Jean Marco Hu, wanted for first-degree murder.
Moy, who worked as a real estate agent, went missing on August 9th. Police say at around 11 a.m. that morning, she left her home to show a property. That was the last time her family saw her alive. 3 days later, police made a gruesome discovery.
On August 12th, her remains were located by Ontario Provincial Police up in Parry Sound.
The remains were badly burned, but police were able to identify them as Moy. The investigation also led police to 3 youths who were in possession of Moy's property, including credit cards. They are all facing several fraud charges and possession of property obtained by crime. They are also considered persons of interest in the homicide investigation. Police say the morning that Moy went missing, she was coming to this property on Van Dorp Side Road to do a showing. Police say they are also investigating whether or not she was coming here to meet Hugh. It's not clear how Moy knew any of these suspects.
Any connection between Hugh and Moy or the 3 youths is all still part of the investigation, and that investigation continues.
Investigators have released these images of 2 vehicles that were seized. They say they're both connected to Hugh.
A white 2019 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van and a gray 2021 Porsche Cayenne SUV.
Police believe Moy was taken from the property on Van Dorp Side Road in the white Sprinter van.
We're asking anyone who may have any information or may have seen these vehicles in the days leading up to the disappearance of Anita Moy on August 9th and after that date.
Investigators are not sure if Hugh is still in Canada. They're working with border services to determine if he's left the country. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
A father and son accused of planning a terror attack in Toronto were back in court today. At the same time, in Ottawa, the public safety minister was being grilled about how the pair ended up in Canada in the first place. Members of the National Security Committee want to know what the government knew about the suspects and when. CBC's Olivia Stefanovic has the latest and a warning: this story does contain details that some viewers may find disturbing.
Facing a flurry of questions, the public safety minister took the hot seat with some answers.
It was only in June of this year that CSIS became aware of the potential threat posed by these subjects.
A month later, Ahmed El-Didi and his son Mustafa El-Didi were arrested and charged with 9 terror-related offenses, foiling their alleged plans to commit an attack in Toronto.
This is the way that the investigative and national security system should work.
But opposition MPs see it differently.
What we have here, Minister, is obviously a colossal failure.
Their concerns stemming from new documents showing Canadian officials vetted the elder El-Didi for more than 7 years. And despite immigration flagging risks, the father received Canadian citizenship in May of this year.
Are you really telling Canadians that that's how our system should work? He's been here for 6 years.
The Public Safety Committee's investigation also revealed Canada's spy agency wasn't aware of a graphic 2015 video, allegedly showing the elder El-Didi dismembering someone outside of Canada.
Is CSIS not tracking these videos? What other terrorists are walking the streets?
From time to time, people do slip in.
This immigration lawyer says screening procedures need to be tightened.
I don't think this is a failure on the part of immigration. I think this is a failure on the part of CSIS, because they're the government organization that is tasked with doing these security checks.
National security experts say they acted as soon as they became aware of the 2015 video and are asking the same tough questions, reviewing their procedures to make sure they were followed, and if so, looking at how they can be strengthened. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
A woman is dead and a man is in hospital with life-threatening injuries after an overnight fire in the College and Dufferin area. The cause of the fire still unknown and is being treated as suspicious. Dale Manukduk has the details.
Fire crews responded shortly after midnight on Rusholme Road, just north of College Street. The street packed with neighbors as the sky filled with thick black smoke.
The fire trucks were already here when I woke up, and by the time I got out, they have already extracted the people from the house, and they were getting into the top floor to, I guess, assess the rest of the damage.
This home was totally in the smoke, in the black smoke, black floppy smoke, and the smoke was coming out from the ground level to the upper part.
I didn't see any fire. There was a lot of smoke. In fact, the t-shirt I was wearing out here absolutely stinks of smoke this morning.
The fire was put out. Toronto Fire Chief Matthew Pegg posted to X, one patient has been pronounced deceased and the second has been transported to hospital in critical condition.
The woman, she was totally part of the leg and the foot was burned out. Totally, the skin was totally badly affected.
I was out here like 5 minutes, and then I saw the medics sort of wheel someone onto the sidewalk here with one of those like big stretchers on the wheels. And like I said, they were compressing the person's heart, and obviously it looked like something pretty serious was happening.
3 other adults were injured as well and taken to hospital with minor injuries. The cause of the fire is still being determined.
Fire crews responded, extinguished the fire, from what I understand, in the basement of this house.
Both Toronto Fire and the Ontario Fire Marshal say Toronto Police are leading the investigation. Detectives were on scene. Police say it is an active investigation and aren't releasing the identity of the deceased woman at this time. Homicide is aware of the fatal fire, but the investigation is being led by the local division. Police say all unexplained or sudden deaths are treated as suspicious until the cause of the death is known. It's unclear if there were working smoke alarms in the home. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A high-ranking Toronto police officer was demoted at a disciplinary hearing today. Inspector Stacey Clark, a superintendent at the time of the infraction, had pleaded guilty to 7 counts of misconduct. Clark saying she had acted out of desperation to counteract what she called anti-Black systemic racism. Tyler Cheese has more on today's decision.
How you feeling?
Stacey Clark has been handed a 24-month demotion to the rank of inspector for her part in what's been called a cheating scheme at the Toronto Police Service.
Just very disappointed and very sad about it. There's a lot of people who have shared these types of experiences.
Clark was the first Black woman to earn the rank of superintendent at TPS. During the tribunal, she admitted that she provided confidential information to 6 Black constables ahead of promotional job interviews in 2021. Her defense lawyer argued she wanted to help level the playing field against systemic racism within the police force. As part of her decision, the hearing officer acknowledged the presence of systemic racism, but said it does not justify Clark's actions. Clark's lawyer had asked for a shorter demotion and an automatic reinstatement to the rank of superintendent. But the hearing officer denied the reinstatement, saying Clark's actions illustrated an abuse of position and power. She can reapply for the position in 2 years, but some don't believe Clark will be allowed to move back up the ranks.
Unless they expunge all of this, Superintendent Clark could walk on water for the next 2 years. This will come up as part of that process in the future, irrespective of anything that she's done in a corrective manner.
I think it's been an extremely harsh punishment and merely a reflection of the justice system and the treatment of Black people from slavery up to now.
In a news release, the Toronto Police Service says it respects the outcome of the tribunal. The release also outlines how the service is actively working to address the systemic racism discussed during the tribunal. That includes reform of its hiring and promotional practices to ensure a diverse workforce and a working group co-led by the OPP to modernize how workplace issues are identified and addressed. As for Clark herself,
there's a lot of work still to be done. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and I'm confident that we'll get it done.
She says she wants to move forward from the tribunal and will take some time to think about what's next for her. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Students will be faced with a big adjustment come September. No phones in the classroom. The new rule was announced by the province in the spring, but with a lack of enforcement guidelines and the start of school just around the corner, there are concerns that teachers will be left to police technology without proper support. Adam Khan has more.
School starts in just a few days, and it'll be the first year Ontario imposes its toughest crackdown on cell phone use, requiring students to put their cell phones away during class time.
Wait, are they actually doing it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's gonna be hell. School's gonna be hell.
The province says it's removing distractions and joining other Canadian provinces in tackling the negative impact of social media.
I don't mind it. I feel like it would be better for the classroom too, because like it's hard focusing already as is.
I personally disagree. I disagree. Listen, I think that having the option to choose between one or the other is part of, being a student. I think especially when you go to college and university, that ban is no longer going to be a thing.
Students from kindergarten to grade 6 are required to keep phones on silent and out of sight for the entire day. For students in grades 7 to 12, cell phones are not allowed during class time unless given permission by teachers for academic purposes. Also, social media websites will be removed from school networks and devices, and report cards will include something new, a comment on student distraction levels in class. Speaking to Metro Morning, these educators say cell phone distraction has become a problem in the classroom.
Every day, every 15 minutes, maybe every 7 minutes, to be over the top. But you can't go a day, you can't go a period where a student doesn't get seduced by their cell phone.
He says a teacher's role is to show how it can be used the right way, something this parent agrees with.
You can't hide them from technology. They have to evolve with it.
And figuring out the right way to do that takes a team effort with parents and community members, says this principal.
We know that well-being has been impacted, and we want to increase engagement in the class. We want students to be speaking to their peers who are in front of them, as opposed to be connecting to someone who's 3 floors away.
Now, there's still a lot of confusion from teachers about how this ban will be enforced and the potential backlash from students. Now, we don't have those answers yet, but the Minister of Education will be speaking tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get you those answers. Anam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
Kids in Toronto will be able to enjoy some after-school swimming next month. 10 of the city's outdoor pools will remain open for 3 more weeks because of a warm stretch of weather expected past Labor Day weekend.
Because of climate change, warm weather in the fall is now quite common. And if it's warm, if it's 26 degrees, not raining, people want to be in the pool.
Pools usually close after Labor Day, but will stay open until Sunday, September 22nd. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow says 140 splash pads will also run for 2 more weeks. And for pet owners, the city is offering 2 dog swimming days. Welcome back. The province's energy minister is laying out how Ontario will meet the high demand for electricity in the coming years. He says the plan will be technology agnostic, meaning the government will procure a mix of energy sources. But as Queen's Park reporter Lorena Redicott reports, critics worry the move will mean relying on more dirty power sources.
The world is moving towards more electrification, including vehicles. It means the province will have to double its electricity grid by 2050, according to the minister responsible.
We need an all-the-above approach because we need more energy in this province.
That means a mix of power sources, including nuclear, wind, solar, and natural gas. But he says no big projects will go ahead in an area without local approval.
And unlike the former Liberal government who imposed energy contracts on unwilling communities, our government is putting municipalities in the driver's seat.
It's a dig at the Liberals, who cancelled some natural gas plants following major community opposition. Minister Lecce made his announcement at a farm that uses solar power. But he says the PCs are banning ground-level solar farms that take up prime farmland, a promise to farmers.
We made a commitment to work with them on a policy that ultimately will respect prime agricultural land.
The government wants to rebuild trust with farmers following the $8 billion Greenbelt land swap, later reversed. It would have allowed protected farmland to be turned into housing, benefiting some developers. On energy, critics worry the government saying it's technology agnostic will really mean more reliance on natural gas. It's already upped that usage in the past few years.
The ones that we have are only to be turned on the hottest summer day when demand reached its peak. Instead, they're using these gas plants all the time. They want to be building more gas plants. we're headed in the wrong direction on the electricity file.
The government clearly wanted to get its message out on this, including an attack on the Liberals. One after the other, PC members posted about the announcement on social media, most using the exact same wording. Minister Lecce then reposted them, more than 30 altogether.
For a lot of citizens, our governments look pretty pathetic when they watch things like this, because it quite clearly is an orchestrated campaign.
But it's also a chance for more people to see the government's take on this policy, with a potential early election on the way as soon as next spring. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Bruce McGregor, the Deputy CEO of the TTC, has been tapped as the temporary chief of the city's public transit system. TTC Board Chair Jamal Myers describing McGregor as a first-class professional.
He was the Chief Administrative Officer of York Region for 16 years, where he ran a variety of departments, or he had oversight of a variety of departments, including transit, one of them being transit, infrastructure, water. He is well respected within the organization. I've heard this from multiple employees, and he's well respected by our union partners, which is also very, very important.
McGregor will take over for Rick Leary, who is set to formally resign as CEO on Friday after almost 7 years at the helm. The TTC board approved McGregor's appointment as acting CEO at a special board meeting this afternoon. Recruitment to fill the role on a permanent basis is still ongoing. Some of the GTA's most vulnerable kids were treated to a special, all-expenses-paid visit to the X today. The CNE Foundation partnered with Make-A-Wish Canada and Sick Kids to make it happen. CBC Toronto tagged along for the day with one of this year's young recipients.
Welcome to Classic Championship Wrestling.
Through the Smiles on Faces program, we tried to provide VIP experiences for the kids and all expense paid, because their families are typically dealing with a lot of medical and other issues. So he receives admission to the CNE, unlimited rides, a goodie bag, and this would be the climax of the day, the experience with the wrestling stars.
So Stephen was born with 3 incurable conditions. The first is Chiari malformation, type 1. He loves wrestling. Wrestling actually saved his life. He became very depressed after his first brain surgery because he survived 2 of them. Then he found wrestling and John Cena saying never give up.
I've loved wrestling for about 6 years now. Since my first brain surgery, I gave it up because the doctor said I can't do pretty much anything. I can't go on roller coasters and everything.
He goes to all the independent shows, and the CNE Foundation found out about Stephen, and they welcomed him here for a fun day of wrestling and rides and just to be a kid, because being a sick kids patient, you don't really get to experience being a kid like most normal kids. He has to stay inside all winter. He, when it's rainy days, he's not allowed outside because if he falls, it could literally hurt his head with snapping it off his neck.
It was very fun. It was just a great day. It's just starting off to be a great day.
Let's go to Chris Potter now with a look at the forecast. And Chris, unlike the clear skies in Paris, it's been a pretty damp and a cloudy one here at home.
Yeah, it certainly has. And it's still humid, though, at times today, even with daytime highs around 25 to 26 in the GTA, which is just above normal for this time of year. Obviously a little bit cooler than yesterday, but it still felt like 30 in a lot of areas. Once we get into tomorrow, the humidity levels will be greatly reduced. It's going to end up being a touch cooler thanks to a northeasterly wind, which is actually in place right now. So we are starting to see the temperatures and the humidity levels drop as we speak. Temperatures normally around 24.1, 12.6 is the normal overnight low. Daytime highs today were around 26, 29 in Hamilton, 28 in Windsor, 22 in Barrie as well as Ottawa. And in terms of the active weather that we're seeing, cloudy and damp is the best way to say it across the GTA. Drizzle, light drizzle will still be in place for the overnight. As we get into tomorrow, though, things will be improving, will dry out. Also a bit of rainfall across southwestern Ontario down towards Windsor. Few embedded thunderstorms. This continues to clear here through the overnight hours, and we'll once again still hold on to this cloud cover. But thankfully, as high pressure finally starts to build in from the north, it will overtake this lingering cloud. Sometimes when high pressure moves overhead, it traps cloud underneath, and that's kind of what's happened today. But as we get into tomorrow, things will change. We start to see a lot of sunshine through the late stages of the afternoon, and will remain clear and quiet through the evening, the overnight. As we head into Friday, another system moves in. A line of rain and thunderstorms starts to move in, orientation southwest to northeast. So it will take some time to fully move into southern Ontario. Looks like it moves across the Lake Huron and Georgian Bay shoreline first. So if that's where you're headed, maybe to kickstart your long weekend, looks like it will be in the vicinity of Parry Sound around 5 to 6. The evening hours across Cottage Country. For the GTA, it looks like it will hold off until just around midnight. And I call it conveniently timed rainfall because as we head into Saturday morning, should see that rainfall clear well off towards the east. There will be some lingering cloud across the lower Great Lakes early in the morning, but if you sleep in, by the time you get up, we're back into sunshine. And we're going to hold on to sunshine and dry weather through Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and into the day on Sunday in almost all communities, including up north. Temperatures for tonight will be in the mid-teens for the most part. The outlier, Windsor at 21 Chatham-Kent. Temperatures will rebound up towards 23 for tomorrow, which is pretty close to where we should be for this time of year. And instead of feeling like 30, it will probably feel a degree or two higher. So humidity, not a factor at all on Thursday. Friday, we heat up a little bit, feeling closer to 35. Overnight rainfall, clearing into Saturday. Sunday, a little bit more cloud from time to time, midday, maybe a drop or two of rain. That's gone, though, Kelda, for Sunday afternoon and evening. And Monday, beautiful weather, a little bit cooler, highs near 20.
I like that. A little bit cooler. I like that. Thanks so much, Chris.
You got it.